From Season 3, Episode 1. Opens on a recap of prior seasons. We see Boyd's reaction to prior attacks, along with Father Katri telling Boyd that he needs to lead all of these people home. We see Katri's death, and we see Victor pointing out that the leaves are changing. This is unusual because it's always normally summer. Donna also reminds Boyd of the food shortage. Tabitha recounts to Julia that she's seeing things, and we see an image of the two children she's been seeing. Jade is intrigued by the symbol, and when Boyd smashes the music box, he frees the 3 trapped citizens. Tabitha goes to the lighthouse, and when she reaches the top, she's confronted by a child wearing white, who pushes her out of the window, and she awakens in a hospital outside of our locked-off area. It turns out Tabitha is in Camden, Maine. When she awakes in this hospital, the doctor asks her a lot of questions. Some hikers found her a few days ago without any ID, so the doctor questions her about who she is. Another nurse speaks into the room saying that the police are on their way, and the doctor informs Tabitha that this is just a formality because she was covered in cuts and bruises and has no idea who she is. Tabitha removes her IV and prepares to escape as soon as the doctor's gone. She makes it out of the hospital to a downtown area. She sees the child that pushed her out of the lighthouse across the road, and by the time she gets to the child, he's inside of a store. She enters the store to confront him, but realizes it's just a mother and her child, and leaves in an awkward panic. Boyd cleans his buckshot wounds from previously being shot. He speaks with an entity pretending to be Father Katri. He's reminded of all of his problems, like the ongoing food shortage, and Boyd claims the entity that he spoke to in the dungeon was not his wife. He says if that wasn't his wife, what is Father Katri? And he says that he can't answer him. Boyd exits an empty room, reminding us that he isn't there. Jim comforts Ethan. Julia doesn't want to talk to Jim, but Boyd does. Jim raises the idea of going to look for Tabitha, and Boyd tries to talk him out of it. Fatima is having really bad morning sickness. She throws up while Nikki bangs on the door, trying to get into the bathroom. Fatima is hogging the bathroom, but eventually she opens the door. Nikki complains, and then complains that she's getting double rations. Now this kind of doesn't make sense. Ellis checks in on her to make sure she's doing all right, and Fatima said she isn't eating. Ellis really wants her to eat something. But in the last scene, we saw other people complaining that she was getting double rations. So which one is it, Fatima? Are you not eating, or are you getting double rations? Donna enlists Ellis's help to harvest what crops they have left. Boyd wants Jim to use the stone hut where he found the talismans as a forward operating base. He can search for Tabitha, but return to the hut every night to at least have a little bit of safety. Kenny wants to join with, but Boyd tries to talk him out. They hear a window shatter, only to find Jade drunk on the floor, mumbling about the symbol. Tabitha wanders downtown and comes across a vintage sale. She convinces a woman to let her use her phone and makes a phone call to her mother. We learn that the police are looking for the whole family, and the mother is happy to hear she's alive. Tabitha doesn't really ask for help or anything, but just wanted her to know that they're all safe and that they'll see them soon. She hangs up on the mother and returns the phone. Tai Chen packs up food for both Jim and Kenny to have on their expedition. Kenny assures his mom and Christy that he will be fine. Jim talks with Ethan as he puzzles. He wants to know that Ethan will behave while he's gone looking for his mother, so he doesn't have to worry about him. Jim promises both his children that he will return safely. Boyd gives Kenny some final advice, and Kenny and Jim head off in search of Tabitha. Ellis comes to Boyd, and we find out all the food that survived the storm is rotten in the ground. Donna tells them that they're out of food. This worries Boyd, as the story of there being no food may have gotten out to more people, causing a panic. The town folks gather at Tian Chen's house to get the food she has jarred in her basement. They tell her that the rest of the food is rotten and force their way into the house. Randall takes Ethan's goat, Alma, intending to eat it. Victor stops him by pulling a gun, which forces Boyd to talk everybody down before things get crazy. Boyd reminds everybody that the goats give them milk and chickens give them eggs, so eating them might satisfy them in the short term, but could doom them long term. Randall gives them a warning and then hands the goat over to Boyd. While searching for Tabitha, Jim and Kenny come across some strange statues. They look like human skulls and upper torsos made out of wood. They're very creepy. The boys find some log cabins, and Jim wants to stay there the night, saying it would give them a leg up the next day. Kenny reminds them that they haven't seen the spider webs Boyd mentioned, so they're probably heading in the wrong direction. The boys investigate some more and decide to stay there the night. Tabitha goes to a confessional booth. She's really reluctant to tell anybody the truth about where she's been. She breaks down and storms out. The priest tries to comfort her and asks her about Thomas. He also asks about the lunchbox and where she came from. She is lost and doesn't know what to do. When the priest asks about the lunchbox, she finally opens it and goes through its contents. At the bottom of the lunchbox, she finds Victor's address from before he was trapped in the town. She storms off again. Elgin sits on the couch knitting. He keeps nodding off, and the woman beside him tries to tell him to get some sleep. He keeps saying that he's worried about somebody watching him, and then he hallucinates a ghostly woman who touches his face. The woman beside him clearly sees the ghost, but then he awakens to find out the whole thing was a dream. Donna, Boyd, and Chen talk about food rationing. Boyd really doesn't want to kill the animals, but he will if they have to. Donna says the cows will get them at least a month, maybe more, and Chen suggests planting smaller crops in different locations. So they decide they need about 3 months for the new crop to come in, and like I said before, the cows will get them a month or more. And when the topic of goats comes up, Ethan is standing at the door. He reacts poorly to this and storms off, so Boyd follows him. Outside, they have a conversation, and Ethan understands that they might have to kill the animals to survive, but would really like it if there was another option. He asks Boyd if they can kill his goat Alma first, so the goat doesn't have to watch its friends die. Tabitha visits Victor's childhood home. While she's standing outside, a man arrives. The man questions her about where she got Victor's lunchbox, and we find out that this man is Victor's father. Kenny and Jim talk about trying to find higher ground in the morning to get a better lay of the land, and Jim already regrets coming out to look for Tabitha, because if he's killed, his children will have nothing left. He says they'll head home first thing in the morning. That night, monsters let all of the animals out of their pens in the barn. Boyd is seen shaking as he pours himself a drink. Jade finally wakes up from his drunken stupor, and him and Boyd share a drink. Boyd hears, then sees the animals are out. He goes out into the street to sort out the situation. Tian, Victor, and Jade join to help him. Even Randall is awoken by their struggle with the animals. He sees monsters and attempts to signal them with the bus's headlights and horn that they're coming. Ethan sees his goat, Alma, outside and opens the door to help her. As soon as he opens the door, there's one of those old lady creepy monsters at the door. Julia tries to slam the door shut, but the monster gets in the house. Julia and Ethan make it out the back door. Just then, Sarah arrives, and they all hide in the bushes. Our animal herders are confronted by a group of monsters, and the milkman monster rips Jade's cow's throat out, and it dies in the street. The old lady monster continues to search for Julia, Ethan, and Sarah in the bushes. When they make a run for it, they're able to make it to the bus that Randall is in and reach relative safety. Tian Chen helps Boyd get the cows moving. Monsters follow, but Chen and Boyd make it to the barn. When they've closed the door, Boyd places a talisman, thinking that they've reached safety. Just then, some monsters come out from the dark parts of the barn. Boyd is handcuffed to a beam, and we watch and hear as the monsters rip all of the flesh off of Chen's body. This is where the episode ends.
Here's what he said to me. Que sera, sera.